Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
welcome all you minties. I am the Uncanny Omar. This is Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. Today, I'm going to be giving you my advanced look at the Strikeforce Morituri Omnibus from Marvel Comics. So what exactly is this? And who are these characters on the cover? Let's find out together. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advance copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market and the book market on July 1st or 2nd, depending on where you get your books. What we're looking at here is your direct market cover. This is the one that is supplied by Brent Anderson. On the left-hand side is your standard edition cover, and that one is also supplied by Brent Anderson. That one is called the Ultimate Sacrifice cover, which, yes, there is a tombstone. So that kind of summarizes what this series is like. All right, so let's shift the focus back to this because everything underneath the dust jacket is the same. What are we looking at here? Who are we looking at here? So before we talk about what and who, I'm just going to go ahead and say, if you've never heard of Strikeforce Morituri, if you don't know what it's about, you've never heard of any of these characters I'm about to talk about, that's okay. It is one of these hidden gems from Marvel Comics that came out right around, I want to say it was 1986 when the series premiered, and it went all the way up until 1990 with 5 prestige format books, which are all collected in here. This is one of those rare books that is all one and done. You don't need to read anything before this. You don't need to read anything after this. As a matter of fact, this is taking place in a completely different universe. They actually have their own established universe. It doesn't take place in the Marvel 616 universe, the Ultimate universe, the 2099 universe. It's its own universe. Will there be superheroes in here like Spider-Man and the X-Men? In a very unique way, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. But first, let's look at this cover here by Brent Anderson. So, who are these characters? We've got Blackthorn, we've got Marathon, Radiant, Snapdragon, Viking, and Adept. Those are our main characters for a while. We who are about to die, Strikeforce Morituri, Gillis, Hudnall, Anderson, and Bagley. That is Mark Bagley that we're going to be talking about towards the last part of the run. Over here, I think this blurb kind of it kind of summarizes it too. The most brutal Marvel comic you've never read. That is so true. The Marvel Omnibus logo, Strikeforce Morituri, Gillis, Hudnall, Anderson, Bagley, and then this image down here of another team. We who are about to die, giving you a small, and I mean a small little synopsis as to what this is, what's collected in here, a Marvel logo, Teen Plus, and then the ISBN with the retail price of $125. Underneath the dust jacket, we do have, let's look at the flaps here, the epic sci-fi sensation of the 80s in one blockbuster volume, and a little bit about the creators here, Peter B. Gillis, James Hudnall, Brent Anderson, and Mark Bagley. Some of those names may be familiar to you if, of course, you've been reading Marvel Comics for a long time. And then the spine of the book featuring the Horde this time around. And we who are about to die. I like the fact that they changed it from a white to a black. And then the back of the book with another team and other Morituri characters, which we'll talk about here in a bit. All right, we are going to crack this book open and talk about exactly what this is, show off this early artwork of not just Brent Anderson and Mark Bagley, but also Scott Williams and Whilce Portacio. And, of course, look at the extras in the build. All right, let's go ahead and get this opened. You have these bright orange end sheets right here. And the title that says, "We Who Are Proud to Die." And I really like this almost like an old school texture on it. It is printed in glossy paper stock, but it just seems like it's got this old school look to it. I like the design there. Over here is the credit page. So you have Strikeforce Morituri, Peter B. Gillis, James D. Hudnall, and then Brent Anderson, Whilce Portacio, Scott Williams, and Mark Bagley are the main artists on the books here, with the inks by Scott Williams and Whilce Portacio, Tony DeZuniga, and now Williamson. Christy Sheely and Julie Mikkel are the colorists, and then Jim Novak, Janice Chang, and Phil Felix are the letterers over here. At the time, it was Carl Potts on editing this book. The breakdown on where you're going to find each of these issues and what exactly is collected, what page it's on, and it does have page numbers. I know some people are like, why do you keep saying that? Because some books have a table of contents and don't have page numbers. So what exactly is collected in here first? The book collects Strikeforce Morituri 1 through 31 in its entirety, and Strikeforce Morituri Electric Undertow 1 through 5. 1,080 pages, $125. All right. First of all, I always found the cover kind of weird, because what we're looking at here is the comic within the comic. So you already are, 1986, comic within the comic, and I'm sure some people are already getting, oh, that's like Watchmen kind of vibes. There's a little bit of that in here. The credits right here, Scott Williams inking a lot of this stuff here, with Brent Anderson on artwork. So we get to meet this character, and I'll talk about when this all takes place here in a little bit, but we do get to meet this character in Roanoke, Virginia. His name is Harold C. Everson, and Harold is thinking about entering this Morituri program. And we find out what that is here in a little bit. Now, his parents are against it. He's like, look, they already tested my blood. I'm young. I can go in. Just let me do this for the sake of humanity. So you start to get the sense that something weird is going on. So then he starts reading The Last Stand of the Black Watch. So he reads about the Black Watch and who the Black Watch are. So remember when I said that this is the comic within the comic? Yeah. It's the adventures of these characters that fought off against this alien invasion. There were originally 5, I believe. And it's really cool how he kind of ties it into some of the characters that appear here later. But the main 3 characters are the ones that are left. I think it's Bruce, Clinton, and Woodrow, if I'm not mistaken. I think those are the 3 that you're reading about here. But then it cuts back to the main story, following Harold going into this group and getting to meet these people. Here, he is meeting for the first time Robert and Jolene, Lewis, Lorna, and Aline. And then he gets to meet this lady here, and that is Beth Lewis Neon. And these names are like, wait, who are these people? Are they important? Actually, yeah, some of them are really important, because Beth Lewis, you find out later on just how important she has been through the whole story. We cut back to the comics where he can't sleep at night, and he's getting ready to go into this program, and one of his friends that he just met earlier that day, Aileen, is having nightmares. So as you're slowly learning through here, this is all set in this possible future. In the year 2069, there has been this invasion from aliens known as the Horde. And the Horde they have a lot of technology, but it feels more like pirates that are taking your treasure. That's what this feels like. They're coming here without really a plan. They're coming here with this advanced technology, and they're just doing awful things to human beings, hence the rated teen plus. Especially when you get to issue 2, you find out like what they've been doing to like babies or to even some of the humans, not just taking them in as slaves, but just killing them in horrible ways. So that's what the Horde is. It's an alien race. And later on, we find out what they truly are and how they got the technology. But they have come here to invade Earth. These kids, because they are kids, they're anywhere from the ages of 18 to 21, have volunteered to be tested to see if they can join this program called the Morituri program. This was all invented by Dr. Tuolema, because like the invasion started in 2069, and then by 2072, as you find out in the comics, you see that he has invented this program where they test your blood type to see if you have the genetic structure to hold this new advanced metabolism that is attacking your body. If you are accepted, and I think it's like 5% of humans are the only ones that can be accepted into the program, you can join the program. Like, you have to pass the first test, like they test your blood to see if you can genetically be accepted into the program. And then the second phase of the program is actually giving you this juice, if you will, the shot that will give you superhuman powers. There are bad side effects of this, though. This is why people have a hard time accepting why they're gonna join. Like, when you meet Aileen, like, you find out that she joined because she didn't feel really pretty, so she was like, I'm just gonna be wasting my life, so I wanted to do something for the sake of humanity. So in order to join, you have to be anywhere from the ages of 18 to 21, because when they tested the subjects that were a little bit older, they tend to just die a lot quicker than the characters or the people that are 18 to 21. Because this is an energy-based type of mutation that they're giving you, it's really destroying your metabolism, that you are given a year to live. And some of these kids only live months. Some of them live a year, but no more. It's like you're sacrificing your life. Really reminds me a lot of like Rom, right? Like, you're sacrificing your humanity to become the Space Knight. These kids that are 18 to 21 are sacrificing their future to go and fight off against the Horde. So that's what this is about. Like, in that first issue, it shows Harold joining the program, getting to know these kids. They haven't accepted the second phase yet, and they kind of break the rules and start fighting. Like, they go outside, and they get in trouble because Commander Beth Lewis comes out and, you know, she's like, you don't even have powers. I get it that you're brave, but you guys are morons. All we had at this facility was just chocolate. They were really using us as bait, this facility, so they can go and invade another base. So it's that kind of bravery they have, but they're still young and making mistakes. So by the time you get to the second issue, they have all agreed to join the program. So in the first issue, you find out what that program is and what it could mean to your humanity. So through here, you get to meet the character of Lorna and Harold and Jaylene and Aileen and Lewis as they become these, I guess, superheroes, right? And it's really cool. In the second issue, they have a room, and it's kind of like the Danger Room. And I'm going to show you just a little bit of what happens when these characters lose their... Because I don't want to spoil who ends up dying, even though this went on for 30 plus issues. So you're like, wait a second. If they only live a year, does that mean that some of these characters aren't going to make it? Yeah, that's exactly what it means. Don't get used to these characters as much as you like them, because I really like a lot of these protagonists. There's going to be relationships that are built through here. There's going to be powers that are awakened. So each one of them, I forgot to mention, has different types of powers. Like, some of them have strength, some of them have like phasing lasers that come out of their arms, and each of these powers will give them the ability to fight these Horde, like energy projection and speed. But just think like superhero stuff. So back to the superhero stuff. One of the things that happens in the second issue and then later on here, let me fast forward a little bit, because, okay, I will come back to that, I promise, because we get different generations of characters. So by the time we're looking here, now we're getting some other new characters. Like, we have Scaredy Cat, we've got Toxin, and we've got Scatterbrain. That's like the second wave of characters. Not to replace our original heroes, because we still have some of the original heroes left, but to add to the big fight, right? We still need young people joining the big fight. I just hit the camera, I'm sorry about that. Joining the big fight. And it's such a unique book. I really like it, the aspect of, like, getting used to these characters. And then, crap, something happens to them. Oh, man, these people are in love. Surely they're going to make it. Nope. Oh, my gosh, this character's pregnant. Well, there's a little bit of twist to that. So we get like second generations, we get third generations, and man, there's beautiful things that happen through here. And just the thought of death or getting close to death because these kids know they're dying. Because I can't show you how they die. I can just tell you that is a horrible design right there. That, by the way, I forgot to mention that the comic within the comic is drawn by Whilce Portacio. So before X-Men, before The Punisher, this is the stuff that he was doing through here. And of course, Brent Anderson with Scott Williams. So you may be familiar with Scott Williams because he inks a lot of like Jim Lee stuff. You can't help but think of Scott Williams when you're thinking of Jim Lee. It just happens. But oh man, the hell was I saying? There's a character in here that is about to die, and they're coming to terms with like their mortality and what the afterlife could hold. So it's almost like questioning not just your mortality, because they know they're going to die, but what you believe in the afterlife. How they die is really horrific because all this energy is just building up, and most of these characters end up just blowing up. Like, it looks awful. Some of them do get killed by the Horde, of course, but most of them, when they die because of the program, the Morituri program, like, they will just blow up. Some of them will sacrifice themselves to blow up the Horde or their machinery, and others will just blow up because they're like, oh my gosh, it's actually happening. Like, in the middle of a sentence, they're like sharing their emotions with another character, and they're like, oh no, not now. And you're like, damn, that's not fair. You get other characters in here too, like, oh my gosh, what is her name? Burn and Revenge. Revenge is a pretty cool character. And is it Lifter, I think, the telekinetic. So there's different generations that appear through here. There's this, I don't want to spoil what happens, but let me do this really quick. Let me show you. So the Horde is this big fight that they're dealing with towards like 2/3 of the book. Then something happens to the Horde where a bigger menace is coming. Something happens to the Horde where another alien race is coming. By now we got some Mark Bagley artwork. This is before the pages of Spider-Man. So this is when it becomes really interesting because perhaps there's a cure for the Morituri program, that some of these characters might actually be able to live longer than just a year. Of course, that doesn't help the characters that are already dead, but it helps the newer characters. So if you're getting attached to the newer characters, you're like, oh, cool, they might make it. Then again, maybe not. We are introduced to these new characters. This is a really cool story. By now, James Hudnall has taken over. We've got Tiger, Wind, and Ghost. These characters are the killer Morituri. They're going after Morituri agents or people that have joined the Morituri program after the big war with the Horde. And I'm not saying the Horde is done away with or the good guys won or anything, but for some reason, these characters were made to go after the people that were part of the Morituri program. So it becomes an interesting turn when the fight is put on pause for a while with the Horde. Who do you got left to fight? And remember that alien race? I think it's like 1999. It's like, I can't remember. It's like VXX 1999 or something like that. They're the ones that entered Earth orbit. And they're the ones that actually play a big part in the Electric Undertow miniseries, which is a 5-issue miniseries, printed in this big, or in these prestige format. So let me just show you what that looks like. So it looks a little bit different. Think of like original graphic novels. One of the coolest things that shows up through here is some of the superhero lore. So in the second issue, this is the Undertow, by the way. Again, written by James Hudnall and drawn by Mark Bagley. Like, in the second or third issue, the characters are training in this danger room style type of place. And that's because it was made inspired by the X-Men's danger room. How they know about the X-Men is because they have digital comics or virtual comics. Here, let me just show you an example. So in issue number 27, we have this character right here that's talking about a comic book talking about Ben Parker. He's a superhero. And what they're talking about is this vid comic. That's what they're called, video comics. And it's the son of Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, after Spider-Man Peter Parker was killed by Dr. Octopus. So the comic book characters do exist within the comic, again, through like video comics is how they exist. And then we get, yes, I wanted to come back to show you that was worth it. That was worth the video comic. But the characters of the VXX99 or 1999 or 199 play a big part in this right here. This is when they come back after the events of the main storyline, and you'll have some of the other characters from Morituri also make a return here. Characters like Scatterbrain, who takes a different type of form, if you will. And it's trying to put a stop to this spontaneous combustion that they're trying to put on everybody of humanity. So it's a pretty cool story, and it really, kind of wraps up a lot of the loose ends that James Hudnall started. So you have the Peter Gillis arc, and then you've got the James Hudnall stories, and then to wrap it up is the James Hudnall ending with Undertow. Peter B. Gillis, we unfortunately lost him last year, and he was a big writer for Marvel Comics, and did a lot of, both him and James Hudnall did. Peter, I think a lot of people may be familiar with his work from the pages of Captain America. I know that he did a lot of those. He did the Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme miniseries. But he did some issues of Doctor Strange before the miniseries started. Some issues of the Defenders, of course, towards the end. And wrote a lot of What If. That's what I remember his name from, mostly. He did do a Black Panther miniseries. And then James Hudnall, you may be familiar with his stories because he did a lot of the Alpha Flight issues. And what else did he do? I think it was stuff for Malibu Comics, like Hard Case, if I'm not mistaken. But we also lost him a few years back, so both of the writers are now gone that worked on this book. But that's what Strikeforce Morituri is. I did not talk about who died as I'm flipping through here, but you're like, wait, that character doesn't look like they're towards the end. Yeah, maybe they didn't make it. Who knows? Let's look at the extras here. So we have creator biographies of Peter B. Gillis, Brent Anderson, Scott Williams, Carl Potts, and articles from Marvel Age, Ultimate Power, Ultimate Honor, Ultimate Sacrifice. That character really grew on me. I really liked what they did with her. Because she was such a unique character, and it seems like for a while they kind of left her behind, and then you're like, wait a second, isn't she coming back? Like, what exactly are they going to do with, what is her name? Adept. And I like where her story arc kind of ends. Or it kind of leaves it open. I'm not saying anything. And then the character designs, there's Revenge. I really like that dude. Lifter, that was the character's name. And Scanner, Burn, Tiger, Body by Morituri. And then pinups. You have cover art back here. There were a series of 2 or 3 trade... I think they did collect the entire series. 3 trade paperbacks, but this is the first time we've seen it collected in a big, oversized format. So, 1, 2... No, that's the back. 2... And I assume the back. And then 3. Oh, it has Tiger, Wind, and Ghost with new colors. Alright, let's take a look at the binding. 1,080 pages, sewn binding, printed at the Donnelly printer. So there is very little. I'm trying to find. There's lots of whites. Very little bleed through happening. And let's look at the way it lays over for the double page spreads. So very minimal gutter loss. But great early artwork in here from Whilce Portacio, Mark Bagley. Brent Anderson, by the time he was doing this, of course he had already done like God Loves, Man Kills, and had worked for a long time within Marvel Comics. But Scott Williams did some of the pencils through here as well. which is very rare. I know he does some pencils now, but I think a lot of people attribute that name with inks. But of course, yes, Brent Anderson is the main artist towards the very beginning. I've always been a big fan of his artwork. Guy's done so much work for DC, Marvel. Of course, if you're not familiar with his big two, you probably might be familiar with his work with Kurt Busiek on Astro City. But I mean, I don't think there's not a single Marvel character that he hasn't done, because of course he did like Universe X, so that kind of is a little bit of cheating because there's a lot of characters in those. But that is it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors. BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader in graphic novels. They have a physical storefront in Montreal, Quebec, and their website, bdcosmos.com, offers 25% off your order of over $99 or more, and free shipping everywhere in Canada for every order of $250 or more.
Their shipping care is exceptional. Your books will stay cozy through the rough Canadian weather and arrive to you in near mint condition.
After checkout, let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way, and you'll be added to the monthly $25 gift card raffle. Entries are valid for new and returning customers.
Don't be afraid to call or email them. Ask them questions. Their staff is always happy to help guide you towards the right purchase. Visit their website, bdcosmos.com, for more. BD Cosmos, with rewards and raffles taking care of customers in Canada. Eh?
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this Omni. Let me know in the comments down below if you plan on picking this up, if you remember the series fondly, or if you've never heard of it and what I talked about or what you saw piqued your interest. It is another one of those all-in-one, and that's it. This is no more. I think, like I mentioned, I think it's in X-Force, like one of the most recent volumes of X-Force, that they actually mention the Morituri experiment. But anyway, if you have any questions, leave them down below. Smash that like button on the way out. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.